Now we see Elisa arriving home, where she is greeted with a hug by her sister Masha. Masha notices that Elisa is feeling down, so she asks if something happened. Although Elisa says no, Masha knows it's a lie because her sister can't fool her. Due to Masha's insistence, Elisa explains again that nothing happened, and that she just ran into Kuzi and her childhood friend, nothing more. With this, Masha already knows that the problem is about him, as Elisa gets upset whenever he is involved. Elisa doesn't deny this, so her sister takes the opportunity to ask if she likes Kuzi. Elisa responds that she doesn't know what Masha is thinking, but they don't have any kind of relationship, and they are just friends. However, Masha asks how they became friends, as Elisa supposedly hated lazy people who didn't care about anything, and Elisa agrees, though there are reasons behind it. From here, we go back 6 years in the past, where Elisa is in Vladivostok, a city in Russia. Back then, the teacher at her school instructed them to form groups and prepare a report on local shops, with the best report receiving a prize. In Elisa's group, they divided the task to investigate different shops, and she showed a keen interest in winning with this report. After working hard visiting the shops and writing the report, she asks her group members about their progress. One of them apologizes, saying he hasn't started yet, but reassures her that there's still a week left. This angers Elisa, but they continue talking about how easy the task will be, as a clothing store sells clothes and a bakery sells bread. At that moment, they read her report and see that she has written too much, suggesting that she should take it easier. What follows is an argument, and the group splitting up. And when the day of the evaluations arrives, Elisa does not get the best report. She realizes she made a mistake expecting anything from them, feeling that no one else has the same determination as her, and that's why she has to do everything alone. Time passes, and the first day of classes arrives where she enters the high school she's currently attending. Here, the students are surprised that she passed the very difficult transfer exam. As class begins, Elisa notices that her new classmate, Kuz, is asleep at his desk. After waking him up, they formally get to know each other. As the school hours progress, she realizes that he is quite lazy, and that even prestigious schools like this one have such people. Later on, we see that there are 14 days left until the school festival, where Elisa stays late working on the curtains. When her classmates say goodbye to her, they mention that it's just a festival, and that there's no need to take it so seriously. Elisa hears this, noticing the same pattern as in her past, and in her distraction, she pricks her finger with the needle again. She thinks that she just wants to do her best and not give up, and if she ends up alone, so be it. Suddenly, the classroom door opens, and it's Kuz, who says he knew he'd find her there. He then advises Elisa that she should go home, and that they'll all work on it together tomorrow. In response, she tells him not to worry about her, and that she'll go home once she finishes a bit more. Kuz tells her that the Handicrafts Club agreed to help them with the costumes, showing her a permit to stay overnight. He's sure that something like this will motivate even the least motivated ones. He managed to get this because he asked the former student council president to pull some strings and told the Handicrafts Club that the boys would help out. If they sell it as an opportunity to impress the girls, the boys will definitely join in, so he advises her again to go home, as she doesn't have to do everything alone. These last words change Elisa's mood, and she tells him that if she's going to participate, she wants it to be a good attraction. She doesn't want it to be half done and refuses to let it be of poor quality, but she knows she says this out of pride and understands that it doesn't concern them as much as it does her. That's why she carries all the effort, not believing that what she's doing is wrong. After a few seconds, Kuz tells her that she's putting effort into the wrong thing, as one person can't build an attraction alone. A school festival is for everyone to work together, and if she wants to create the best attraction, the best thing is to focus on how to motivate others. Though seeing her reaction, he mentions that he knew she'd get upset if he said that. The next thing he does is apologize, knowing that she works very hard, and thanks her. Elisa refrains from commenting, taking her things to say goodbye and leave. As she walks down the hallway, she wonders what's wrong with him, repeating this several times. As the days go by, Elisa gradually sees that the whole class is putting a lot of effort into organizing the festival, integrating a bit more with her classmates. And when the festival finally arrives, they succeed in the haunted house attraction they created. Later, they win the prize for the best attraction, something that leaves Elisa perplexed. Then it's time for the dance after the festival, where the boys spend the evening in the schoolyard. At that moment, Elisa meets Kuz, who comments that this academy is sometimes very old-fashioned, as he doesn't understand why they end with a traditional dance. Elisa asks for permission to sit next to him, which he allows, though he asks if she won't go to the dance, as everyone surely wants to dance with her. So he assumes she doesn't know how to dance, but she tells him he's being rude, and that as a child, she did ballet, so this simple dance wouldn't be a problem for her. And she rejected everyone by saying she didn't know because she actually didn't want to dance, but it wasn't hard for her to get rid of them as she's used to it. Kuz mentioned that he expected no less from the Ice Queen, and seeing that she didn't understand what he meant, he told her that the others had given her that nickname. Elisa said it wasn't funny, asking him to stop joking, and he apologized for that. Then Alisa explained that the problem was with the princess thing, as it sounded like she was a spoiled rich girl. It's true that she was born with more beauty and talent than most, but she's never been satisfied with just that, and it bothers her that people only see that and not her efforts. After hearing her out, Kuzi let her know that he wouldn't call her that anymore. Alisa thanked him, admitting he was right, and she wasn't. As if she had tried to do everything alone, she would never have experienced the festival in this way. She felt bad for taking it out on him before, and even though Kuz downplayed it, it still bothered her, wanting to apologize and repay him however she could. So she asked if he wanted anything, warning him that he couldn't refuse. After thinking for a few seconds, Kuz asked if there wasn't a Russian tradition where people gave each other special nicknames. In response, she told him that in her family they called her Alya, which made Kuzi insist on calling her that, as he wanted to be the only one with that privilege. Seconds later, the boys from the class arrived, repeatedly asking her to dance. But since they were becoming very insistent and Alisa's rejections weren't working, Kuz apologized to them, clarifying that she was already with him. He then took her hand and led her to the center of the courtyard. In the next few seconds, Alisa thought her heart was about to burst, all because of him. He said he wanted to see for himself if what she said was true, that this dance would be easy for her, and Alisa happily agreed to show him. Alisa finished telling her sister the story, who took it as a beautiful love story, something Alisa disagreed with. Then Masha mentioned that Sa and she were also like that, showing that she had a picture of him in a locket. Although when she talked too much about this, Alisa asked her to leave if she was just going to brag. Now we're with Kuzi, who is going to the student council to cover for Yuki, and here he meets Masha, Alisa's sister, and the council's secretary. When she approached, she suddenly took his hand, but seeing him up close, she froze, and then she asked him his name. He replied that his name was Masachika, which means with diplomacy. Masha thought about his name, and after a few long seconds, she apologized, explaining that she was very happy to meet a friend of Alisa's. After that, she asked if they could leave, although she did so in Russian, so Kuzi, pretending not to know the language, asked what she said. Masha took a moment to respond, turning to clarify the meaning of her words. Now the two of them went to a store, as Kuz had to accompany her to help with some shopping. While choosing an air freshener for the office, Masha was suddenly distracted by a stuffed animal, which was similar to Alisa's. It was here that she came up with an idea, to buy stuffed animals that resembled the council members. Kuz commented that although the girls might like them, the president would feel very uncomfortable. Despite that, Masha chose a lion with glasses for the president, and Kuz couldn't help but admit that it resembled him a lot. Even so, he asked her not to buy the stuffed animals, so Masha complained a bit about it, limiting herself to buying the kitty for herself since it was so cute. Kuz agreed, but told her it was better to charge it separately, as Alisa would get mad at her since she was the treasurer. Later on, the two walked down the street, and here Kuzi thought that Masha was too weird, wanting to know if she was always like this, and surely Alisa had many problems with her. They arrived at another store, where Masha handed him the stuffed animal while she did some shopping inside, calling it Mikialia. Kuz was a bit affected by the name they gave the cat, and after hugging it, Masha said they looked very good together. She even tried to take a picture, but Kuz told her no and covered the camera with the bag, reminding her that they had come for the teas. Once inside, Masha asked him which one he liked best, but he replied that he didn't understand black tea. Here he thought that Yuki would surely intervene, as Mom had taught him a lot about the subject. But having that in mind, he also remembered not-so-pleasant things, like the time his father told him that he and his mother would be separating. The Kuzi back then accepted that decision, telling him he preferred to stay with him. But what happened next was that Yuki said she wanted to stay here at home with her mother. While distracted by these thoughts, Masha asked if something was wrong. He replied that nothing was wrong, but Masha placed her hand on his cheek and told him he looked very down. After that, she approached to give him a hug, whispering that he could calm down and that everything was okay. This left Kuzi speechless, wondering in his head what he was feeling, as it seemed familiar and very relaxing. At that moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and complained that the tea was burning him because she had it pressed against his back due to the hug. By clumsiness, he dropped the cup of tea, and you could hear the poor Kuz's screams of pain. And that's all. If you liked it, subscribe to support the channel. Comment the word Alya to show that you stayed until the end, since not many people usually do.